Okay, so here's the first video of chapter 4. Now, what I've done on these kind of exercises, I've taken the book version. I've also added how to do the graphics with ggplot for each of these. So I've added like a little, the book tells you about how brilliant ggplot is, but doesn't do much with ggplot. So I've tried to add both the basic R graphs and also the ggplot graphs. The first kind of example is just a really simple, what I sometimes in the classes I've referred to as one-way tables, i.e. we're just summarizing one single variable. So we're going to look, this is the transactions data set, and it's going to be, let's just have a quick look at it. It's very similar to the previous customer one. In that we have customers, we have purchase amounts, we have how satisfied they are. We have whether there's repeat purchases, the gender, and the income. So it's just a very, very kind of simple sales data set. And let's just have a look at the variables, str. So we have the purchase information, we've got a customer number, which really isn't useful. Sorry. Purchase, satisfaction is numerical, and then these kind of character or factor variables, repeat or and gender, sex. We also have the income variable. The first thing is we're just going to look at the repeat purchase, and we're just going to do a table. We're just going to summarize the categorical variables. So just do a table on my data $repeat, the repeat column. And we can see that not 60 purchases are not repeat, and 140 are repeat. And we can actually, I don't see the point of viewing it if we can just see it there, but yeah, you can view it in the data frame. We've got no, yes, 60, and 140. And then we have a similar one to gender. And again, but this time it's 50 and 150. Now we could actually do that, as well as table, there's a function called prop table where we have the proportions rather than the actual amounts. So we won't even bother viewing this. Let's just run through it. And, rather than no and yes, 60, 140, we have 0.3 and 0.7 proportions. So it's just basically these values, 60 and 140 divided by 200. And we've also have the same for sex or gender. And then we have female 0.25, 25%, and male 75%, which from the numbers makes sense. Divide by 200, 0.25, 0.75. Now we can actually use this information to create a bar plot. So we have bar plot, and let's just question mark bar plot. And this just gives the basic, we've got a vector of heights. We could also do widths as well, but we're just going to stick with heights. And so we're going to do one for repeat. We're going to send it the repeat frequency. So we're just going to pass it that. We've got a few other parameters here. For example, we've got made, which is the title. And we have labels for xlab, which we're using the default of the variable name, and ylab, which is the y label number of customers, and we're going to make it blue. So let's just pass this to the bar plot. Now, if you notice something, the default bar plot, for some reason, it doesn't have a line at the bottom. So if you want a line at the bottom, the AB line function, again, let's just do question mark AB line. The AB line function basically draws a line. The H is the Y value. The V is the X value. We can send it kind of a vector. We can send it the equation for a line. Here we're just saying H equals 0. So then Y is kind of a 0, so we're just going to draw a line at the bottom of the graph. And we go to the plot, it now has a line. Now, we can actually do this with the basic R graphs. We can kind of do the basic graph and then add features to it. If we ever want to completely reset our graphics environment, there's a command called dev.off, which actually, I'll put this in, which would actually reset the graphics environment and for blank. But generally, we don't need to do this. For example, if we run another plot, it would usually reset. But just in case things get messed up, this is actually a good thing to do just to completely reset your graphics environment. Now, the same with ggplot. Now, this time, we're not using the summary data. With ggplot, we pass it the data. AES tells us which of the columns we're going to use in the data. And then we're going to use a function called, ggplot works with functions. You have a function for each type of visual you're doing. We've got geombar, which creates the bar graph. And what we could do is we're going to actually have stat equals count. This just counts the number of the variables in repeat. So it will say how many no's there are, how many yeses there are, and then again fill it in blue. We're going to add a title this time. Again, it's a different graphic system, GG title. The YLab is actually the same. And let's just show what this one looks like. Here we go. So it's a weird gray background. And you can actually pass it themes to change the visuals of ggplot. And I'm passing this one theme underscore BW. Let's just do that. And I don't like this title. It's kind of stuck at the left. So you can actually send it some more theme information. And I'm doing plot.title equals element test. And H just means I horizontally justify it 0.5 halfway along the top. And these are the things you're probably going to have to look up in the helper online, because it's ggplot is its own little language to learn, and it does take a while to try and work out how to do it. So for the moment with you guys, if you want to do a ggplot graph, it's mostly just going to be kind of copying my paste or example code on the web, and then just adapting it for your own particular data set. It took me a long time to get comfortable with ggplot. So here's ggplot. It's all nice now. It's got the title in the center. It's got the white background. And then we can do exactly the same for the gender variable, for the sex variable. So rather than repeat frequency, we use the sex frequency for the standard bar graph. And it's pretty much as the same, as it's very similar, but now we're 150 and 150. And we can do exactly the same with ggplot. And here's my ggplot graph, again exactly the same, but AES x equals sex rather than x equals repeat. So that's just two ways of, this little exercise was all about these just simple categorical summaries and creating bar graphs. And we've done bar graphs both the book way with bar plot, and I've also added ggplot. Okay, that's about